Ladies and gentlemen, we have two major stories to talk about today. One, if you'll recall from yesterday's show, we talked about Texas suing four states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And more states are now joining in on this lawsuit. And story number two, Eric Swallwell from California slept with a Chinese spy. Yes, this is now a movie. In case you weren't blatantly aware of it before, 2020 is basically a TV show, and the writers went all out this season. Before we get to the news, if you would please like and subscribe to my channel. Like this video, share it with your friends. I don't have a marketing team or a big fancy studio. I'm just a dude trying to share the information that I think is important in easy to understand ways. So, like I said, if you like the work that I'm doing here, if you want to help me fight the fake news narratives floating around the social media sphere, share this video with all your friends. Our media tech overlords are censoring right-wing media left and right at a rate they've never done before. So it's important that this reaches as many people as possible before it gets shut down. Alright, on to the news. First, Trump joins Texas lawsuit over election results in states that Biden won. Biden won, in quotations marks, because he hasn't actually won them yet. He won the popular vote, but that doesn't mean the electors are going to vote for him, or vote at all, as we'll discuss in a little bit. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has filed a last-ditch lawsuit in the Supreme Court against four key states, won by President-elect Joe Biden, alleging they unlawfully enacted changes to their voting laws that led to election irregularities and skewed the results of the presidential election. Okay, that much is true. That much is true. Prop 77, I believe it's called, in Pennsylvania, they just allowed no questions asked mail-in ballots. That's illegal according to their state constitution. Okay, only the legislature can make those sorts of rules, but they did it through the courts and through the executive branch, not through the legislature. So to say that these votes, these voting rules that they've enacted over the last several weeks are fair is factually false. They have no legal standing, and the fact that they did them might end some people in prison if this goes anywhere. Now, the Supreme Court, it appears, will be taking it up. We're not sure yet, but if they do, a number of other states will be joining in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of the American Civil War number 2. You see, as more states join in to back Texas, other states will join in to back Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. I don't see this going any other way. This isn't. I don't think this is going to be anything like the last Civil War. I think this is going to be an information war. People are controlling the news outlets and the media arms like never before, controlling what you see and what you don't see. I've talked about it before. We have proof of this by the fact that 20% of Biden voters would not have voted for Biden had they known of 5 key stories. 5 positive for Trump and 2 negative for Biden. So 7 key stories. Had they heard about them, they wouldn't have voted for Biden, and Trump would have won in a landslide victory. He would have won much more states than he won in the previous election. So the fact that we are here, we found ourselves here in this information civil war, it's the fault of our media tech overlords, the people who are censoring information. The Democrats in control of YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, CNN, the most trusted name in news, CBS, MSNBC, ABC, New York Times, Time Magazine, and all these other media outlets. It's their fault that we have come here. And now they are willing to destroy America to keep their power. Do not let them. Take their power from them. Cut the wire. Subscribe to alternative sources of media like myself. Ben Shapiro over at the Daily Wire. Andrew Klavan at the Daily Wire. Dave Rubin over at Blaze Media. Steven Crowder with Blaze Media. Heck, I don't even care. Go listen to Glenn Beck at the Blaze Media. He would be better than listening to than half the staff on CNN. But they would like you to believe. They would lead you to believe that Glenn Beck is an alarmist. He is a fearmonger, and to be fair, he is a little bit of that. But no more than they are. No more than Brian Stelter over at Reliable Sources on CNN. Do not buy the food they are selling. Do not let them spoon feed you the information. Go do your own research. I'm presenting you with the facts. They will present you with the facts and then their opinions masked as facts. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about the American people. They just care about their power. And they will say there's no such thing as voter fraud in order to keep it. They would jeopardize the democratic system of our country to keep their power. And that's what they've been doing over the last 6 weeks. You see, YouTube just updated their terms of service. Anyone who uploads information about voter fraud without key context, their channels will be shut down, channels will be demonetized, their videos will be taken down. So, this might be my last video. I doubt it, because I'm a pretty small channel. But this is why you need to share this video with your friends. The information needs to be disseminated, not condensed. Paxton, who is facing accusations of bribery and abuse of office, is asking the Supreme Court to extend the December 14th deadline for the state's certification of presidential electors to allow for investigations into alleged irregularities. You see, I say that these media outlets don't care about us because at first the only people to report on this were right-wing media sources like Breitbart and Daily Wire, Blaze Media, etc. It wasn't until several hours later when people started figuring out, why is no one else reporting on this? That people like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS started to report on this story. And otherwise, you would not have known that Paxton also wants the courts to block the use of unlawful election results without review and ratification by the state's legislatures. You would think, based on what you've heard from these mainstream news outlets, that Donald Trump is simply trying to steal the election. You wouldn't know that these 4 states committed felonies, effectively, by passing unconstitutional laws. You wouldn't know that Donald Trump isn't trying to steal the election. He's trying to reinstate the rule of law. We have a constitution. States have constitutions. Either they matter or they don't. Either it sets the precedent and the law of the land, or it's just a piece of paper to be ignored. Pick one. And unfortunately, the Democratic Party has become consistent on their stance. Constitutionality matters when they want it to, and they can trample all over it when they don't care, when it doesn't fit their narrative. And we see that with things like this. Paxton filed his lawsuit against Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, all of which have certified their election results and formalized Biden's victory over President Trump. Biden was projected the winner of the presidential election November 7th and has begun the transition process, but the president refuses to concede. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to concede. It wasn't until the early 1900s, or the mid-1900s, when the Associated Press started predicting which president was going to win, that president started this tradition of concessions. It's not a legal standard. Trump doesn't have to concede this election. All he has to do, if Biden wins, all he has to do is walk out of the office. He doesn't have to say a single word to Joe Biden. And I can guarantee you this, if that's what he does, the left will mar him even more than they've already attempted to. They will attack him as being uncivil. And they will prop Joe Biden up as being the most civil person of all time. despite the fact that he was part of the administration that droned American citizens overseas and accused Mitt Romney of wanting to put black people back in chains. Seriously, you can go look at that during a campaign rally in 2012. He's going to put y'all back in chains, quote. Talking about Mitt Romney. You see, the Democratic Party for the last 4 years has been throwing temper tantrums like 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds. I will not disclose where I work. I will say I work a lot with children. We'll say that much. Specifically in the 3 to 6-year-old range. I have 4-year-olds that behave better than Joe Biden. I have 3-year-olds that speak more intelligible sentences than Joe Biden. So tell me again, America, why did you vote for this man? He's already admitted that he's going to mysteriously come down with some illness and have to resign, therefore paving the way for Kamala Harris. And that's why Donald Trump is fighting so hard. Because he knows what will happen if Kamala Harris becomes president. He knows what will happen if the Democrats win the Senate and the House of Representatives. Game over. Republicans will never win another election. It would have to be pretty dang hard for Republicans to win an election, which is why I am so excited that the new face of the Republican Party is people like Nikki Haley, Donald Trump. Have whatever disagreements with him that you want. Fine. Fair. I have plenty of disagreements with the man. But he is a fighter. And the Republican Party needs fighters. People like Dan Crenshaw, Kelly Loeffler. America is about to plunge into the Civil War. Or should I say, America is about to find themselves in the middle of the Civil War, realizing we've been here a long time, questioning, how did we get here? I've already answered it. It's the political left trying to maintain their power. Which is how we end up with people like Donald Trump becoming president and tweeting things like, we will be intervening in the Texas, plus other state, case. This is the big one. Our country needs a victory. Fact check true. Joe Biden's victory is a loss for our nation. Similar lawsuits brought by Trump's campaign that alleged widespread election fraud and sought to block certification of election results have been rejected, with federal and state court judges finding no evidence was put forth to bolster claims that illegal votes were cast. Fact check false. That's not what happened. All of these lawsuits that have been shot down by Republican voters, okay, the majority of the lawsuits brought that are being claimed to be brought by the Trump administration were actually brought forth by Republican voters. Okay? And they weren't shot down because of lack of evidence. They were shot down because they couldn't provide evidence that they were harmed. That also happened to be true in the Trump campaign. It keeps getting knocked down to a lower court in Pennsylvania. You can't prove that you were harmed by this. If the solution is, well, count these votes, then you weren't harmed. The solution has to be, you have to eliminate all of these votes for this lawsuit to go anywhere, which is why the Republican Party is so excited that Texas and other states have finally started to take action against these states. Because, like I said, back in 2000, when Al Gore was running against George W. Bush, he tried to say, oh, these votes aren't being treated the same. We have got to throw all these votes out. Okay. All right, Democrats, let's play by your rules. All of the votes that weren't treated the same, got to be thrown out. Let's play by your rules, Democrats. How do you like your own medicine now that it's being force-fed back to you? You don't want it, do you? But please, let's at least be consistent. I've been pretty consistent with everything. If it comes out that Joe Biden wins, fine. He will be my president for the next 4 years. Republicans aren't going to come out in the streets en masse and just say, not my president, and tweet en masse, #NotMyPresident, like the left has. Instead, they will spend the next 4 years campaigning against Joe Biden. They will spend the next 4 years campaigning against Kamala Harris. And they will prop up Donald Trump as their next candidate and say, "I told you so." The left that claims to hate the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans just voted in the only person more part of the establishment than Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden's been in politics for 50 years. 20% of the time that our country has been a country. And he's been wrong on virtually every policy decision he's ever made. The Iran deal. Garbage deal. Gave Iran pallets of cash to build their terrorist organizations around the world. And then you get people in his administration who will be like, "Oh, but most of that money was used to build their economy." Most? Set aside the fact that that statement's completely wrong. Most of their money was used for their economy? Okay, what about the 20 to 40% that was used for terrorism? America, you are now funding terrorism around the world, and you're okay with it. Democrats that claim to hate terrorism are okay with Joe Biden funding terrorism in the Middle East. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. The mental gymnastics that you have to go through in order to vote for Joe Biden because you want peace and you want normalcy is insane. It's insane. The mental gymnastics that you have to go through to justify voting for Joe Biden. I can't even imagine. I would rather paint my house with a Q-tip than vote for someone like Joe Biden. I posted on TikTok earlier today. The most common question I get asked this election cycle is, how could a Christian vote for Donald Trump? Okay. First of all, that's a ridiculous question. Because effectively, you've only got two options. Okay, and I get you've got the Green Party, you got the Gold Party. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. But, like, most Americans aren't going to vote for those third-party candidates. So, effectively, you've got two options. Donald Trump or Joe Biden. How can Christians vote for Donald Trump? Let me flip that around. How can Christians vote for Joe Biden? How can Christians vote for Donald Trump? How can Christians vote for Joe Biden? Sure, they've got plenty of differences. They've got a lot of different character flaws. But they've got a lot of the same overlapping character flaws. If you remember, Joe Biden said, if you don't know who to vote for, then you ain't black. Joe Biden literally said, if you're not going to vote for me, then you're not black. Joe Biden's an old racist. He voted for segregation repeatedly back in... How can a Christian vote for Joe Biden? Of the two candidates, one of them has a track record of squashing religious liberties. So no, Donald Trump might not be a great person. He may not be a good Christian. He may not be great at worshiping God. He may be a sinful man with a ton of baggage and skeletons in the closet. But at least he's not the one squashing my religious liberties as a Christian. He's not the one squashing my rights as a Christian in this nation. Joe Biden, if he had his way, would leave bars open across the nation, would leave strip clubs open, would leave, Hollywood open, as we can see with other Democrats across the country, like out in California. But he would close down churches. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure bars and strip clubs will spread more germs than a church. Speaking of spreading germs, I gotta quit because I'm getting too worked up over this. I'm getting angry. If you can't tell, I am a very angry person sometimes. Speaking of spreading germs, get this piece from Fox News. There came some news that Swallwell, Eric Swallwell, from California, slept with a Chinese spy. Smooth move, X-Lax. Nice hands, feet. Swallwell refuses to explain relationship with suspected Chinese spy accused of affairs with mayors. Representative Eric Swallwell, Democrat, California, is keeping quiet about his past relationship with a woman suspected of being a Chinese spy. Axios reported that a Chinese national named Fang Fang, or Christine Fang, targeted up-and-coming local politicians, including Swallwell. Fang reportedly helped fundraise for Swallwell's 2014 campaign and helped place at least one intern in his office. I love it so much. In fact, a former intelligence official told Fox News the Chinese for years have been sent spies to sleep with lesser-known members of Congress and staffers. Holy cow! And this story is being buried by the mainstream media. The very people that spent the last 4 years shouting, Russian collusion! Donald Trump is colluding with the Russians to bring down America. Those very same people are now burying this story about the Chinese infiltrating American elections. The same people that spent the last 4 years shouting Russian collusion with zero evidence, not just a little bit, not just like 2 or 3 circumstantial evidence, zero evidence, are now burying this story of actual election fraud with real evidence. It can't get any crazier than this. Ladies and gentlemen, this season of 2020 is a little crazy. The writers really went all out for this one. A former intelligence official told Fox News the Chinese for years have sent spies to sleep with lesser-known members of Congress and staffers. Fang's relationships with at least 2 Midwestern mayors turned sexual, according to Axios, with at least 2 incidents being caught by FBI surveillance. When asked about the nature of Swallwell's relationship with Fang, the Democrat congressman office declined to comment. According to Axios, federal investigators gave Swallwell a defensive briefing in 2015, during which they alerted him to the concerns over Fang. An intelligence official told the news outlet that Swallwell cut ties with her soon after. Oh my gosh. The congressman's office told Axios that Swallwell long ago provided information about this person whom he met more than 8 years ago and whom he hasn't seen in nearly 6 years to the FBI. Beyond that, however, his office would not discuss the story, citing concerns related to classified information. Oh yeah, sure. You're not going to discuss the classified information with U.S. intelligence agencies and investigative services. Meanwhile, Chinese interns placed into Swallwell's office are running crazy with this classified information. Way to go, Democratic Party. Way to go. You're going to toss the Republican Party under the bus with zero evidence based on a crappy report put together. The Steele dossier, which has been later to come out as completely defunct, funded by the Clinton campaign and foundation. And then Donald Trump's campaign was spied on by the Barack Obama presidency office. And then you're going to bury a story like this, quite possibly the biggest story of 2020. It feels like every 2 days there's a massive story breaking that's the biggest story. Ugh. This is insane. I can't even imagine. This is the stuff of movies. This is the stuff that the tinfoil hats warned us about, and we laughed at them. Well, I can tell you, I'm going to start listening to Alex Jones a little bit more, because maybe he's not all insane. And then you had this Israeli official reveal, nope, aliens are real. What? And apparently Donald Trump knows about it, and apparently Barack Obama knew about it, and they're among us, living among us, and they're not going to reveal themselves until the humans stop having war with each other. What is happening? I feel like reality just like shifted onto its head. Politicians sleeping with Chinese spies, aliens, the most contested election in history. Not all of history, but recent history. We're like the Titanic about to run into the iceberg. I can feel it coming. We're in the middle of the information civil war, and it's about to explode wide open. And whoever controls the information at the time of the explosion is going to lose, because they are going to fall. The bases of their structures are going to be wiped out from underneath them. They're going to fall. They're going to fall hard, and lots of people are going to get burned in the process. Please, Americans, don't let that happen. Don't burn down the country. All right, with that, I will see you guys here tomorrow. Try to get that video out a little bit sooner. Please, like I said at the beginning of this video, share it with your friends. The dissemination of information is so important right now. Because whoever controls the information will lose, or they will at least try to claim that they'll win. So to prevent the war, the only way to prevent that war is don't let any one person or any one party have control. Try not to burn down the country while I'm gone, and even if you do, I'll be here to cover it tomorrow. Thanks, have a good night, and have a Merry Christmas.